The story took place when I was 11 years old. I was in the 6th grade during that time. Our class had a field trip. We were going to go to this camp that had been existing since the 1930s. When we arrived, it seemed normal. The girls' cabin looked pretty nice. We were going to stay at the camp for 4 days. So I was going to miss my family. On a Wednesday night, we had just finished hiking. Me and my 2 friends, let's call them Nebula and Jaguar. The 3 of us returned to the girls' cabin because we were tired and I was going to go take a shower. Once I finished showering, I came out of the bathroom because my friend Nebula wanted to brush her teeth so she could go to sleep. I was drying my hair and all of a sudden I heard Nebula screamed and jumped off her bed. I asked her if she was okay. Our friend Jaguar was already asleep. The look on Nebula's face still haunts me to this day. Her face looked absolutely terrified. Nebula then pointed at the window. I looked and saw nothing but the trees outside and the darkness since it was 10 p.m. I looked at Nebula confused because I saw nothing. Nebula then told me she saw a man in a tuxedo wearing a hat. She told me that he was outside watching our friend Jaguar sleep. I looked at the window again and saw nothing. I told her she was probably just imagining it. Nebula didn't say anything after that. She just looked at me with a scared look on her face. I told Nebula that we should probably go to sleep because our teachers might find us awake and we could get into trouble. Nebula nodded and went to her bed and covered herself with her blanket. I went to my bed and fell asleep. The next morning we ate breakfast with our classmates at the small cafeteria. Nebula still had that scared look on her face, so I asked her if she was okay. She nodded yes. But I asked her why she looked scared then, and she told me about the tall man in the tuxedo. I told her that was all in her head, but then she gave me a serious look and said that she was wide awake when she saw the tall man. Nebula brought out her small notebook and drew the tall man. When she was done drawing him, she gave me the small notebook. I looked at the drawing. Nebula was pretty good at drawing, and she did draw the tall man. Scary. The tall man looked like he was wearing a 1920s tuxedo outfit, and he had sharp teeth. Nebula also drew our friend Jaguar asleep in the drawing. In the drawing I could tell that the tall man was watching our friend Jaguar sleep. I asked Nebula where the tall man's face was because I didn't see it in the drawing. I could only see his mouth in the drawing. Nebula then told me that she didn't see his face clearly that night. She said the only thing she saw was his sharp teeth and his 1920s tuxedo outfit. I started laughing and I said, "What if it's Slender Man?" I started to laugh again and Nebula just looked more worried. I realized that in the drawing the tall man was wearing a hat, so I told Nebula that it probably wasn't Slender Man, because Slender Man doesn't wear a hat, right? After eating breakfast we went hiking with some other kids. I don't remember their names. There was these 18-year-old high schoolers that were taking care of us, and Nebula wanted to tell one of the high schoolers about the tall man that she had seen at night, because she was so scared. We went up to one of the high schoolers. Let's call him Pickle. Pickle was about 18 years old at the time, too. So we went up to Pickle, and Nebula started explaining to him about the tall man in the tuxedo. Pickle then told Nebula to sleep with the 6th grade teacher, since she was so scared. Pickle also told us to turn on our lights if one of us got scared, or something scared us. After talking to Pickle, we returned to the girls' cabin, and Pickle walked away with the boys to the boys' cabin. That night, Nebula was so scared to sleep. Nebula told me that she wanted to go home so she could be with her mom and grandma and her 5 cats that she owns. Nebula has no dad, by the way. I told Nebula to calm down because I actually enjoyed camping, but like Nebula, was scared. I told Nebula to sleep with me. My bed was pretty big too, so 2 people could fit on it. Jaguar was already asleep while me and Nebula were talking. That night, Nebula went to sleep. The next day, it was normal. Nebula wasn't so scared anymore. It was like the last day, finally, and we did our last hike. Then we had lunch. We were sitting at this one place. I don't exactly remember where, but we were chatting and eating with these girls. Let's call them Acorn, Jellyfish, and Jupiter. We told them about the tall man in the tuxedo. Then Acorn told us that she saw something pretty creepy too at night. Acorn said that it was around 3 or 4 a.m. and she wasn't asleep yet because Acorn was thinking about her family. Acorn was laying down on her bed. She told us that she turned around and she was looking at a window. While she was looking at a window, she told us that she saw something very creepy that passed by her window. Acorn said that it was a ghost or something. Acorn said that the ghost just passed by her window very fast. The only thing Acorn remembered about the ghost, it was just dark. Like it just some dark ghost passing by a window. She also said that the ghost had glowing eyes or something. Then we went on the bus and we got back home. I told my mom that it was an amazing trip, except when Nebula was being scared. I enjoyed that trip a lot actually, and it was one of my favorite memories from 6th grade. Nebula did like it too, but she just didn't like the part when she saw the man in the tuxedo. It's been a while since that happened. I asked Nebula if she still had the drawing of the tall man, but she told me that she doesn't have it anymore because she threw her small notebook away a long time ago. Anyways, I feel like it was all in Nebula's head and that it wasn't true. Same with Acorn. I feel like it was all in her head too. What do you guys think? Do you believe in Nebula and Acorn? Or do you think, were they just seeing stuff? Let me know what you think.